name's Czarnecki. I'm also a member of the former UAW 364. We this time don't have any leadership, so we're kind of hodgepodge and representing ourselves, each of us working on some of our own areas. Mine is sort of documenting, I shoot video, I upload it to YouTube, there's some of the Conn strike video, 2-year anniversary video on there. But what I'm after right now, what I'm doing is researching. This is a letter I put together that I researched for a letter for Mr. Obama. Sure, I wish we could have gotten some material to him. I think we did some, but this letter to Obama is a plea. And I'm not going to go over it very much, but I did want to highlight just a few points in about 3 minutes. On that first page, in that first paragraph, you're going to see the very first bulletin talks about something the government could do. That National Labor Relations Board decision did not have quorum. The Republican and Democrat voted. They got stuck on 8 votes. They waited to the end, and finally they made a decision. How? Maybe they flipped the coin. That ruling was never released. We have no idea what it says. Derek from the National Labor Relations Board tells me it would provide why they chose to allow those permanent replacement workers. Very crucial information. The other 4 talk about our union. Our union could have done a lot more to help our strike. We didn't have union meetings. We don't understand a lot of things, particularly that 4th item there, to fight an unsubstantiated injunction by the court in Elkhart here, had no due process of law. From what I understand from my presidents, both prior and present, we never really did get to represent or fight that or understand what was part of that. Down to good faith bargaining. The law states properly authorized representatives. We're not sure. We spoke with properly authorized people who switched, who are prepared, they weren't, to negotiate any condition. They didn't negotiate. They were stuck on his Chinese model horns and paying what they needed, and meet frequently to avoid unnecessary delays, which they did quite often. On page 2, the totality of conduct, another law, requires no trivial concessions. They had to negotiate seriously and substantially, and they did not do that. And I think our former leaders would provide information on that. Second paragraph, data justifying the need for their unable to provide pay wages or ask for concessions. They have to provide data. That's the law. They did not show their books. They said they didn't have to. Economic strike. I researched and found out that there's a difference in strikes. There's a ULP, an unfair labor practice strike. A lot different. That enables workers to go back. All you do is say, gosh, we can't agree on that contract stuff or those grievances and never got settled. Forget about it. Let's go back to work and everybody work. We would have liked to switch to that. The law apparently, from what I read, does allow you to switch to that. We never had that option. Maybe it's because our representatives weren't educated. We certainly weren't. Perhaps the city has an obligation in the sense that they could have mediated that and talked about that kind of things. Remember, these are older retired workers. They're not out there for $8 an hour. A lot of our contracts we took concessions on. They would not have stood out there for 3.5 years in the winter for just a few bucks. They want to retire from that company. And they weren't able to do that. Labor Management Reporting and Disclosure Act. Here, the union has an obligation to represent fairly. And in a number of ways, they allow subcontracting of work. When we had striking members, they allowed people to work at our competitors, EK Blessings. Which, by the way, you want to look at the Chinese issues that we couldn't compete against China and they needed concessions, talk to EK Blessings. My interview there for work substantiated the fact that they could pay me $20 an hour, charge Conn Selmer that money, and still make money off of it. They were ready to build third shifts, extra buildings, facilities. They'd probably come to you for a tax abatement. They had so much big plans. And that all fell through, and Conn Selmer pulled their contract from them. What made their contract good? Building the TR-301, very close to the TR-300, that they built formerly, these striking members. Union allowed this. Union did not hold trials. People crossed the line, were required for them to hold trials. And that would have kept a lot of other people from crossing the line. That was something we paid dues for. And finally, third page, bowlerism. I don't know how familiar they are with that, but it was tried with GE, and they thought they could put their first, last, best, final offer up in front and just say, hey, why negotiate at all? Let's just give it to you how much we can give you. Court said that's wrong. That's what this company tried to do. They tried to just say right off, you know, we can't compete against China. This is it. Take it or leave it. That's against the law. Why our union never fought that, I don't know. Permanent strike replacement workers. It says here by Attorney Sherman, I found online, it could be just for that state, it could be federal, but an economic strike can be converted into an unfair labor practice strike. Gosh, I think we would have liked to have done that. And finally, replacement workers hired as temporary and then thrown into a permanent replacement worker status seems to be a violation of law. The understanding is that they're temporary. That was their understanding. CEO Messina comes out and says, oh gosh, they're permanently replacement workers now. It's an economic strike. We're going to call them permanently replacement workers. The law may not allow that. They were hired as temporary. That was their understanding. And in fact, they really didn't want to work that much either. So they liked being temporary and floating around the shop. And finally, the last thing to sum up is page 4, second paragraph. Michael Yates writes in Power on the Job, Legal Rights for Working People. Former strikers, having lost a strike, is a law, a requirement of law that you be offered the next positions available without a union. And the company did do that. We're still all employed by the company on recall, but only for 1 year, and then it's over. That seems to be in violation of the law too. We have not had good representation. We come to you tonight because we're powerless. We're looking for labor lawyers. We're looking for references. But here's what we would like to ask of you. Go to state resources, go to federal resources. Perhaps there's still links with Obama. He likes Elkhart very much. This is a letter to Obama and all government officials. Take a look at it, explore it more, do some research investigation, and try to help these struggling Elkhart people who want not just great jobs, just a fair chance at working, pushed out by permanent replacement workers that were just thrown in. And also what Obama talks about what Pope Benedict had come out with. Working on it for 3 years. Started his encyclical 4 months after the strike. Wish he'd finished this. Actually, he did a year ago, didn't publish it. He would have been ahead of the economic situation. And if you look at my website, ConnSelmerStrike.com, one I maintained from the beginning to document and journalize the strike, there Pope Benedict makes a lot of talk about decent pay, decent jobs, what's right, and how companies should operate. And it says a lot how we should operate in this city. Thank you very much.